This is Temple Harry Church, the church where the Kearney family worshipped. The President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, is a direct descendant of the Kearney family who worshipped here. Temple Harry Church is situated about 5 miles from Monegall. The Kearney family are recorded here since 1799, and on the 24th of May in 1829, Fulmoth Kearney was recorded under the name Timothy. Reverend Nielsen, who was director of Temple Harry Church, allowed us to film the actual documents, the baptismal certs of the Kearney family, showing us Fulmoth Kearney in 1829. And also in the early 1800s, a marriage took place at Temple Harry Church for who Mr. Joseph Kearney was a witness. Joseph Kearney was the father of Fulmoth Kearney. Temple Harry Church holds the key to the history of the Kearney family and the relationship between Barack Obama, President of the United States. Okay, so Reverend Stephen Nielsen, we're here in Temple Harry Church, and you have the actual records of the descendants of President Barack Obama. Can you tell us how far you can go back there?
We can go back in our records to 1799, but the records relating to the Kearney family, who were Barack Obama's ancestors, go back to the 1830s. We have here, actually, in front of me, I have the baptismal record of Mary Ann Kearney. She was a sibling of Fulmoth Kearney, who was the direct ancestor of Barack Obama, and her baptism is recorded here, along with, interestingly enough, the occupation of her father and Fulmoth's father as a shoemaker, and this was one of the first indicators of the family's occupation.
I see. And further than that, or later on, you have a marriage certificate.
Yes,
there,
indeed.
I see.
There is a marriage recorded in one of our other registers here, in which Joseph Kearney, who was Fulmoth Kearney's father, is recorded as a witness. Also within, this again is a combined register, baptisms, weddings and burials all recorded within the one register. Also within this register we have the baptismal records of another sibling, William Kearney, who was a brother of Fulmoth Kearney's. And indeed, we have the record which is almost certainly that of Fulmoth Kearney himself. It is felt that he was probably recorded under another name, baptized under the name Timothy. And this is it recorded here on the 24th of May, 1829.
1829.
Which would have meant that when he left for the States,
19.
about 1920, sort of, he would have been when he went to the States. Yeah, so he was a relatively young man.
Very young man.
Yeah.
And so this is the direct lineage here in Temple Harry Church.
It is in Temple Harry Church, and this is the church where his ancestors would have worshipped Sunday by Sunday. All significant family occasions would have been centred around here. So it's full of history, and and of course there are living relatives around the area too. So it's living stones as well.
And how many miles are we from Monegall here?
We're only a couple of miles, 2 to 3 miles. There is another site in Monegall where occasional worship took place. It's called a Chapel of Ease. So when people wouldn't make the journey to the main church, and it was a combined Chapel of Ease and schoolhouse on the main street, and that is the schoolhouse where Fulmoth Kearney would have attended school, and all his siblings would have attended school, and also worship would have taken place there on occasions.
And the original house obviously is in Monegall.
The original house is also in Monegall. That was only discovered relatively recently. It was thought it had been knocked down and was on another site, but research done by Trinity College has ascertained beyond any doubt, they've got written records which point to the fact that it's actually on the main street and still standing.
So when the announcement came on St. Patrick's Day from President Obama over the airwaves, did you get a shock?
I did and I didn't. I was sort of expecting it. I had been in touch with the Taoiseach the week before. I'd sent him some material in preparation for his visit so that he would be fully up to speed on the link with Temple Harry. And I had a response via our local TD from the Taoiseach indicating that he was very optimistic that the visit would come in the not too distant future, and also that Monegall would definitely be on the itinerary. And he was so positive in the message that I received. I felt that it was quite likely that we were going to hear an announcement. So while I wasn't shocked, I was hugely what shall I say, moved is one word for it, after 4 years of anticipation. We'd been looking forward to this for 4 years, and when it actually came into being, it was actually hard to believe.
I'm joined here in Monegall, outside the monument erected to the Obama name by Henry Healy, who was a direct distant cousin of Barack Obama. I want to ask Henry to explain the lineage on the plaque here behind me. Henry, can you explain the relationships here now? It's all
the family tree
lined
is
out here, yeah?
Yeah. Joseph Kearney, he was the shoemaker here in the village, and he married Phoebe Donovan, and they lived here in this house behind us, behind the sign here, and they had children. All these children were baptised in Temple Harry Church, just a few miles outside the village here, and the most important child for our connection was Fulmoth Kearney. And Fulmoth emigrated from Monegall in 1850 at 19 years of age. The Kearney family, were promised land in Ohio if they emigrated and went to farm the land. So Fulmoth was the first to go. And while out there, he got married to Charlotte Holloway. And you work all the way up, and you have the Dunhams then come in the next generation. And as we know, President Barack Obama's mother was also a Dunham. So you could nearly come right up to Stanley and Madeleine Lee Payne. And as we remember, President Obama's grandmother, Madeleine, passed away during the election, and unfortunately didn't see him get to be inaugurated as president. And then both Stanley and Madeleine had a daughter which they also named Stanley Ann, and she is the mother of the President of the United States. So it's amazing to be able to trace back that far.
Absolutely. So where do you come in this family tree now, Henry? Where would you be?
Our link actually comes back here. There was Joseph Kearney's parents were William Kearney, and William Kearney was a son of Joseph Kearney and Sarah Healy, and they married in 1761 in Shinrone. So our connection goes back to Sarah Healy and that marriage in 1761.
Right. And tell me, were you over at the inauguration of the
president?
I
was fortunate enough. I was invited as a guest of the Irish American Democrats, and we also were guests of the American Ireland Fund, and we were on Pennsylvania Avenue for the inauguration, looking down on a balcony at the whole celebrations, and the crowds. I've never seen any. I still can contrast it to an Irish election. There's no comparison. It's totally amazing the way the people embrace their new president, and it really wasn't like here where it's local. You know, we had when Brian Cowan was elected Taoiseach, we all went up to Leinster House, and Enda Kenny Mayo is after being up there in Leinster House. It was the whole country was in Washington. There was close to 3 million people on the streets, and no one arrested, which is unbelievable.
So it was a very big event. And were you taken by surprise then when President Obama announced with Mr. Enda Kenny that he was actually going to come to Ireland?
We were expecting actually an announcement to be made that there would be an Irish visit, but also we were expecting a battle on our hands to have Monegall as one of the sites to visit, because Kilkenny have laid claim also to President Obama, and Galway have been canvassing, as have Cork, to get President Obama. And I can tell you, we were literally gobsmacked when President Obama himself mentioned Monegall, and it's still we're 2-3 days after the announcement, and we're still the only confirmed location, and it was confirmed by the President himself, which makes it all the better.
Right. So in Monegall there'd be a good pint of Guinness to be had here by President Obama when he comes.
There was always a good pint of Guinness here in Monegall, and one thing's for sure, President Obama won't have to put his hand in his pocket for the pint of Guinness. The locals here are all lining up to pay for the pint for the most powerful man in the world.
To buy him the first pint.
To buy him the first pint.
And tell me this, is there lots of local characters that he may sit down and have that pint with? There's lots of characters that could tell him some stories about Monegall.
There are plenty of people here, you know, that have interest in the village, know the history of the village and the different sports and stuff that might interest the President, but we are fearful that protocol will dictate that the President and a select few will only be allowed in the pub for that pint of Guinness.
and this is where Fulmoth Kearney was born. And Henry is just going to tell me a little bit about the house. Can you tell me what age the house is, Henry?
Well, the house is close to over 200 years old, which is an amazing thing to still believe it still stands today. Originally, when the story broke about President Obama's routes to Monegall, locals were talking about the different things, and there was a field, and it was always known locally as Kearney's Garden, and that was where we believe the homestead was and had been knocked.
Right.
Trinity College and Ennicklan were commissioned to do research on the link to Monegall, and it was them that discovered the house actually still stood. They have described the house as a bungalow with attached roof back in the day, with small rooms, and as we can see, it has obviously been modernised and has an extra story built on. But to the side of the house, you can actually see the original wall, which identifies it as a bungalow. And
this is to this side here,
to that side, and there are two metal spurs which protrude the house at both sides. And they're believed to be the supports for the second story that was built on.
And is there somebody living here now?
There's a tenant living in here, but it's owned by one of our local shopkeepers, John Donovan.
All right.
And he was gobsmacked too to discover when the Heritage Council came down and told him from the council that his house was the house that had...
So now an ordinary looking cottage here that probably would have fetched a nominal sum on the market would probably be fetching maybe quite a substantial amount of money if it were to be put on the market now.
I think if it was put in the market now, the people of Monegall would be disappointed. It's now priceless. It's priceless to us here in Monegall to still have it standing.
Absolutely. That's well done, Henry. Thanks very much. And your brother worked in the White House,
He worked in the White House.
Which of them was that, Ned?
Sam, the eldest.
Sam. What year was that?
It was around the 60s.
Right.
Up to 60, the mid-50s and 60s.
That was under which president?
Kennedy.
President Kennedy.
President Kennedy, yeah.
And what did he do there in the White House, Ned?
He was in the FBI.
Was he really?
In the FBI, yeah.
And what his name was?
Sam Fanning.
Sam Fanning.
Yeah.
Are you the only one that
I'm
didn't
the
go?
only one in Ireland, yeah.
Oh,
and
my God.
92 years of age.
You're 92?
Yeah,
Isn't
92,
that wonderful?
yeah.
Wonderful.
92, yeah.
Absolutely. And are you living in Monegall all your
Living
life?
in all my lifetime, yeah.
So Amanda, tell me what it means to County Offaly, the visit to Monegall from President Obama.
Well, it's what every county would dream of, is getting a direct connection to the President of the United States, and that he would then announce that he's coming to visit Monegall. And for the whole of the county, that's a tremendous boost. Everybody's terribly proud of the connection, terribly proud to welcome back any of the diaspora that have left from Offaly. But of course, the President of the United States, what better visitor could you get to the county?
Is Monegall a big place? Do you know the population of Monegall?
Monegall is in the south of County Offaly, and there's a population of around 300 people. There's about 70,000 people in Offaly in all, but I think all 70,000 will be glad to welcome the President and will be very proud that he's coming to Monegall.
There's a lot of history in County Offaly and a lot of tourism attractions in County Offaly. Can you give us an insight?
Well, if coming into Birr, early Christian town with its Georgian heritage after that, its famous castle, the telescope, and then there's the Puget Library there, which is being converted now recently from the convent into the library, with the copy of the McGreegall Gospels from the Oxford Library, the Bodleian Library in Oxford. And then going south again, you'll be heading down towards Monegall, and you've got Fancroft Mill being conserved, Emil Castle, Bushestown House, Lawton House. The history of South Offaly is tremendous.